They've been hiding the truth from you for centuries, burying the evidence deep beneath the earth where no one would ever dare to look. Imagine digging through solid rock, millions of years old, only to find something that shouldn't exist, a piece of technology so advanced it defies the laws of physics. You think you know how history unfolded, but you're wrong. The narrative you've been fed is a carefully constructed cage designed to keep you from the unsettling reality of our true origins. It's not just a mistake, it's a cover-up. What if I told you that humanity isn't the first civilization to reach the stars? What if I told you that we've been here before, and we failed? The shadows of the past are growing longer, and it's time to face the darkness. Let's start with the most disturbing revelations, moving through the layers of deception that have kept these impossible objects locked away from public sight. Are you ready to lose your grip on what you consider to be real? Because once you see what's buried in the bedrock, you can never unsee it. And the worst part? This is only the beginning of the nightmare. Consider the Antikythera mechanism. It's not just a gearbox, it's a complex astronomical calculator that shouldn't have appeared for another 1,000 years. How did ancient Greeks, supposedly using simple tools, create something with such precision? It's not just a riddle, it's a scream from the past telling us we've forgotten something vital. But that wasn't even the worst part. Scientists found traces of advanced metallurgy that shouldn't have existed until the industrial age. The gear ratios are perfect. The engineering is flawless. It's as if someone handed them the blueprints for a machine they didn't understand. And then, something even more disturbing happened. We found similar gears in other sites, scattered across the globe, suggesting a widespread, forgotten network of advanced knowledge. Why is this hidden? Because it destroys the linear timeline of human progress. It suggests that knowledge isn't a steady climb, but a cycle that ends in destruction. Think about the Baghdad battery. A clay jar, a copper cylinder, an iron rod. It's a battery. It's thousands of years old. What were they powering? If they had electricity, why did they go back to oil lamps? Why did they lose the ability to harness the spark of the gods? The silence of the archaeological record is deafening. It's as if they were terrified of what they'd created. And you should be terrified too, because if they could lose it once, what's to stop us from losing it all over again? The deeper we dig, the more we realize that our current level of sophistication is just a thin veneer over an ancient, broken foundation. We are walking on the graves of giants, oblivious to the technology they left behind. But the real horror isn't the technology itself, it's the fact that it exists where it shouldn't. It doesn't belong in the timeline. It's a glitch in the simulation of history. And when glitches appear, you have to wonder, who is watching the code? Let's move to the objects embedded in rock. You've heard of the London hammer, right? An iron hammer encased in Ordovician rock that formed over 400 million years ago. That's hundreds of millions of years before humans were supposed to exist. How does a manufactured tool end up in a geological formation that predates the dinosaurs? It's physically impossible. Unless, of course, the timeline is entirely wrong. Some argue it's a natural concretion, a trick of the earth. But look closely at the steel. It's not just iron, it's a high-purity alloy. It doesn't rust. It's been sitting there for eons, waiting for someone to find it. And when they finally did, the scientific community scrambled to explain it away. They didn't want to admit that our history is a lie. They called it a hoax, a misunderstanding, a geological anomaly. But the hammer is still there, mocking our theories. And it's not alone. We found spark plugs in geodes, screws in slate, and metallic spheres in deep coal seams. These aren't just curiosities, they are warnings. They are artifacts from a time before our current era, a time that has been wiped clean from the collective memory of the human race. And the most unsettling part is the silence. No one talks about these discoveries in the classroom. No one writes about them in the history books. They are kept in the dusty corners of private collections, hidden from the light of day. Why? Because the truth would shatter the institutions we rely on. It would mean that we are not the pinnacle of evolution, but the survivors of a long-forgotten collapse. Imagine standing in a dark room, trying to find a door, only to realize the walls are moving. That is what studying these objects feels like. Every time you think you have an answer, the question shifts. And then something even more disturbing happened. we found evidence of high-velocity impact markers on these objects, suggesting they were discarded or destroyed in a cataclysmic event. A war? A natural disaster? Or something else entirely? The mind reels at the possibilities. We're talking about tools that required advanced manufacturing techniques, lathes, precision casting, chemical refinement. Where were the factories? Where were the cities that housed the workers? They've been erased, ground into dust by the relentless march of time. Or perhaps, they were never on the surface to begin with. Some theories suggest these artifacts belong to subterranean civilizations, entities that evolved in the dark while we were still learning to strike fire. Doesn't that make your skin crawl? The idea that we aren't alone on this planet, that we share it with something, or someone, that has been watching us from the beginning. It's a haunting thought, one that keeps researchers up at night. And yet, we keep digging. We keep looking for the pieces of the puzzle that don't fit. And they keep appearing, in the most impossible places. From the depths of the ocean to the peaks of the highest mountains, the remnants of a lost age are calling out to us. We just need to listen. But are we prepared for what they have to say? Because history isn't a straight line. It's a circle. And we are approaching the point where the line meets its end. Think about the tools we've found that defy all logic. A gold chain found in a lump of coal. A gold chain, delicate and intricate, embedded in a seam of coal from the Carboniferous period. How? Coal is formed from decaying plant matter over millions of years. For a manufactured piece of jewelry to be there, it would have to be older than the coal itself. That's hundreds of millions of years. It's not just an anomaly, it's a disruption of the laws of nature. And it's not the only one. We found nails in sandstone, clay dolls in deep well drillings, and even metallic plates with inscriptions that no linguist can decipher. The symbols are alien, yet eerily familiar. They speak of a language that was lost, a tongue that was spoken before the confusion of Babel. It's as if the world is trying to tell us something, but we're too arrogant to listen. We're too focused on our own achievements to notice the ruins beneath our feet. And that's our fatal flaw. We think we're the first to achieve greatness. We think we're the masters of the earth. But the evidence suggests we're just the latest in a long line of occupants. And like the ones before us, we're likely heading toward the same fate. The tools, the trinkets, the remnants of our predecessors, they are all that remain of a civilization that once stood tall. They are the artifacts of a forgotten empire. And we are walking over their graves, oblivious to the ghosts that watch us from the shadows. Does it bother you? It should. It should make you question everything you've ever been told. It should make you wonder what happens when we, too, are reduced to a layer of dust in the geological record. What will they find of us in 1,000,000 years? A plastic bottle? A circuit board? A fragment of a satellite? Will they look at our ruins and call them impossible? Will they wonder who we were and why we disappeared? The cycle continues, indifferent to our struggles. Now, let's talk about the theories. The mainstream narrative is that these objects are just errors in dating or misinterpretations. But that's the easy way out. The truth is much darker. Theory suggests that we are dealing with remnants of ancient, advanced civilizations, perhaps even extraterrestrial influence. Some believe these objects were left behind by visitors who saw us as an experiment, a species to be cultivated and then discarded. Others think these were the tools of a precursor human civilization, one that reached a technological zenith before a global catastrophe wiped them from the face of the earth. The sheer scale of the ruins, the precision of the carvings, the complexity of the materials, it all points to a level of sophistication that we are only now starting to replicate. And the fact that we find these things in such strange, isolated places suggests that they weren't meant to be found. They were hidden, buried, protected by the very earth that eventually revealed them. Why would they hide their technology? Were they afraid? Were they trying to preserve it for someone else? Or were they trying to keep it away from someone, or something else? The implications are staggering. If there was a civilization more advanced than ours, where did they go? Why is there no record of them? Perhaps they didn't want to be remembered. Perhaps they knew that history is a cycle of destruction, and they were trying to break it. But they failed. And now, we're left to pick up the pieces, trying to make sense of a world that is far older and far more mysterious than we ever dared to imagine. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? To realize that we are just a footnote in a much larger, much darker story. We are the inheritors of a broken legacy, living in the ruins of a forgotten world. And the more we learn, the more we realize how little we truly know. It's enough to make you lose your mind. But we can't stop. We have to keep digging. We have to keep questioning. Because the truth is out there, buried in the dark, waiting for someone to finally bring it into the light. And when we do, we might just find that we're not the heroes of this story after all. We might just be the next chapter in a tragedy that has been playing out for eons. The mystery deepens with every discovery. Look at the Piri Reis map, for instance. It shows Antarctica, but without the ice. Antarctica hasn't been ice-free for millions of years. How could someone map a coastline that was hidden beneath miles of frozen wasteland? It's not just a mystery, it's a terrifying possibility that we've been wrong about the climate, about the age of the Earth, about the history of human exploration. It suggests that someone was there, observing, documenting, long before we even knew the continent existed. And that's just one example. There are countless others. The stone spheres of Costa Rica, the massive monoliths of Baalbek, the tunnels beneath the Giza Plateau, all of these are pieces of a puzzle that we are nowhere near solving. They are the silent witnesses to a past that has been systematically erased. Why? Because the truth is inconvenient. It doesn't fit the narrative of progress. It doesn't fit the image of a world that is constantly moving forward. It's a reminder that we are small, that we are fragile, and that we are not the masters of our own destiny. The archaeological record is a graveyard of secrets, and every time we open a tomb, we're letting those secrets out. Are you prepared for the consequences? Because once you start peeling back the layers, you realize that the world is a much stranger place than you ever imagined. There are forces at work that we don't understand, patterns that we can't see, and mysteries that might never be solved. And maybe that's for the best. Maybe some things are meant to stay hidden in the dark, buried in the impossible places where they were left to rot. But we can't help ourselves. We're curious. We're driven to find the truth, no matter how unsettling it might be. We're standing on the edge of a precipice, staring into the abyss, and for the first time, the abyss is staring back. The shadows are whispering, and if you listen closely, you might just hear the echoes of a truth that has been buried for ages. It's a haunting, beautiful, and terrifying realization. We are not alone, we never were, and we are not as advanced as we think. We are merely the latest in a long line of travelers on this lonely planet, and our journey is far from over. There are still countless mysteries left to discover,